I initially had no interest in watching the Captain Underpants film, but I recently resubscribed to Now TV and I read the description for this and I thought, actually, that sounds quite fascinating. So I watched it and I'm pleased to say it's pretty decent. The specifics of the narrative may not be the most interesting from start to finish, but I liked the overall concept, I loved the characters, and in general, it was pretty good fun. This is a DreamWorks animation from 2017. It's actually called Captain Underpants, the First Epic Movie, and it's directed by David Soren, written by Nicholas Stoller, based, of course, on the Captain Underpants books by Dav Pilkey. And we have a voice cast, including Kevin Hart, Ed Helms, Nick Kroll, Thomas Middlemarch, and various others. Obviously, really great voice acting. And this is about two friends, George and Harold, and they've created a comic book hero, Captain Underpants. And they're big pranksters, they're getting into trouble at school, and they end up having to see their principal. This is Principal Benjamin Krupp. And they decide to hypnotise him to turn him into Captain Underpants. And, well, what follows is the principal assuming this new identity and the adventures that follow. As I said, the specifics of the narrative for me weren't that interesting. The adventures that they go on afterwards and the problems that they have to overcome, they're fine. Nothing wrong with them. Well written. I just didn't think it was the most engaging. But I did really like the characters. I liked George and Harold. I liked the principal. So even when the narrative wasn't the most fascinating for me, I still enjoyed following the characters, I still enjoyed their journeys, and there was still enough there for me to be entertained. On top of that, we have generally a nice animation. There are some times when it seems a little bit bright, when they've turned the lights up a little bit too much. I wouldn't say it's bordering on garish, but it does get a little bit too strong for my liking, and I like really bright, bold colours in animation, so that's saying something. But in general, I'd say it's a really satisfying animation style from start to finish. Visually, definitely not too bad at all. So I'm quite impressed. I wasn't really expecting to enjoy it until I read that description and thought, actually, that sounds quite fun as a concept. And I'm pleased to say the execution, for the most part, was rather enjoyable. Decent story, great characters and voice acting, animation, generally quite satisfying. Now, based on the title, I had assumed that there was going to be a second film. If this is the first epic movie, presumably they were going to do a second epic movie. And as far as I can tell, there are no plans for that. If anybody has any information about that, please feel free to share. But a considerable amount of time has passed since then, and according to IMDb, it has 6.2 out of 10 on IMDb. I don't know why I said that twice, across 35,000 reviews and ratings, and that's a pretty decent rating. I know that's just IMDb, that might not reflect in terms of profit, but it seems to be reasonably well received. According to Wikipedia, it grossed at 73.9 million in the States, with a worldwide gross of 125.5 million against a budget of 38 million. So it seems to have done well. And I can't see any evidence of a sequel, which I'm quite surprised about. So if anybody has any information on that, please feel free to share. But I guess the point I want to make there is that I liked it enough that I would be happy to watch a second film. And needless to say, I enjoyed the first epic movie. If you've been considering watching Captain Underpants, or if, like me, you didn't think it would be for you, I'd say maybe give it a go. It's good fun, generally well done, and ultimately a decent film that I am happy to recommend.